No kingdom ruled through fear is a kingdom worth ruling. Now, that's what AGS has said in the past, and today, I guess they're going back on that rule. And for the most part, I'd say typically they still do kind of play by those rules, but today they actually came out and did something against the people who abused the exploit for the Ignite server boxes. So if you guys are out of the loop and haven't heard about this, which I would assume most people at this point probably have, unless maybe you're like a newer player. So recently, for the past 2 weeks or so, there was a bug in the game basically allowing players to take the Ryzen Express reward boxes that you get from the Ignite servers and putting it on their legacy server characters. Now, this was done through a stronghold bug where you can visit the stronghold of an Ignite server character and you would be given those boxes on your legacy server characters. And a lot of people were abusing this. I guess maybe a select few were abusing it at first, but after it became public yesterday and Legalia leaked it to everybody, I mean, the cracks were already showing and like the faucet was already leaking, but kind of Legalia took that whole faucet and just like completely destroyed it. A ton of people ended up using this exploit. And specifically, about 2,300 players received those rewards, but 1,200 didn't exploit this bug. So 2,300 players got it because you literally just get it from entering a stronghold. Like, for example, somebody might be saying like feast here or something like that. Or somebody might just invite you to your stronghold and then you visit their stronghold and then boom, you have the boxes. And then what you need to do afterwards to get punished was use these boxes. And about 1,000 players use these boxes. Some use them once, twice, 3 times. Some use them a lot more. And for those who only use it 1 or 2 times, the punishment isn't super significant. But those who used it more and exploited more, well, they're getting a little bit more of a heavy-handed punishment. So let's read through this together. Here's Marcasia. A bug was identified with Ignite reward chest, which some players were able to repeatedly exploit. Our team has been investigating the extent of the issue and want to communicate that our decision on the penalty for those who abuse the exploit. As a reminder, a key tenet of the Amazon Games Code of Conduct is to play fair. We reserve the right to determine what constitutes unfair play and to take corrective action we deem appropriate, and the abuse of this exploit will have corrective actions taken. So what type of action is going to be taken? Well, at a base level, all items will be removed and skill trees will be rolled back. So if you didn't use your tripods and got all your level 5 tripods, they're going to roll those back. For all items that were used and cannot be removed, so let's say like, gold itself, or like, materials like fusion materials or holding materials, players may have gold or the gold value of the used item, so probably the market value of those items at the time, deducted from their balance or sent into the negatives corresponding to the severity of the abuse. So if you abused it quite a bit, they're going to be sending your ass into the negatives. This policy will apply to all materials, including processed chaos stones or combined honing materials. Along with item withdrawals, players will be receiving suspensions and bans matching their level of exploit. So I'm glad that AGS is coming in to actually provide bans for players. Now, how long will these bans be, right? So they detail down here. The first group of players are ones who may have mistakenly encountered the issue and did not repeatedly abuse the bug. So players who opened the chest 1 or 2 times, maybe they just got it in their inventory like, oh, what is this? Oh, wow, free materials, how to get this? I opened this, right? Will have any items withdrawn and have not been, they're not going to be suspended or banned at this time. Their team is investigating if they can remove these items for this group during the maintenance. So they're seeing how they can remove these items that they use or whatever during the maintenance. If the item removal process is gauged to take longer than the maintenance period, this group of players, so the 1 or 2 times they opened it, will receive a short suspension to give their team the time necessary to remove the item. So they're not in trouble per se. It's just that, they need time to figure out how to remove these items properly and fairly. And then spending the items in the meantime will result in further action. So if you have any items still remaining in your inventory that you did not use, don't use it, because you might be punished more if you're in this group of 1 to 2 chests. Now, players who continually exploited the issue and opened multiple reward chests will have more severe actions taken, corresponding to their level of exploit. So players that open 3 to 7 chests will receive a 2-week suspension. Personally, I think this is kind of more like I expected less than this. I was like, oh, you know, 3 to 7, maybe like 1 week or something like that. So it looks like they're gonna be 2 weeks. Players that opened 8 to 14 chests will receive 1 month, and players that open 15 plus chests will receive a notice that they have received a 30-day suspension and are pending further review. This grew out of various levels of actions taken up to permanent bans from the game. So, from what I can tell here, what they're saying is, if you did 15 or more, right, at the very minimum, it's going to be a 30-day suspension. So probably people who are like 15 chests exactly, right? 30-day suspension. Any more than that, you know, it's probably going to be a little bit more up until permanent bans. Now, there have been people who are commenting like, oh, why don't they just say like, yo, up until this amount, like if you're above this amount, just permanent ban, right? Well, here's my guess, right? This thing happened over the weekend, like it blew up over the weekend. So they probably didn't know or didn't have much time to discuss what the exact punishment would be. You know, they probably had meetings already scheduled today, and they're probably not going to cancel all those meetings. So they probably maybe had like an hour or two or maybe less to discuss what's going to happen to these people. So they probably came out with a general guideline like, okay, 1 to 2, we're just going to do this. 3 to 7, we're going to do this. 8 to 14, we're going to do this. But 15 plus, the big offenders, we really need to sit down and figure out like, hey, what did they do? What is the level of impact they have on the game, and how much do they do it? And based off of that, we'll decide what the severity of the punishment is. And how we decide it, I don't know. We'll just have to meet more and talk more about it. But today, probably we don't have enough time. That's probably what ended up happening, which is why we kind of have this ambiguous 15 plus number. And, you know, the level of punishment is going to be different depending on how much you exploited. But I have to say again, this is a really, really, really surprising for me. Personally, I know that they were going to hand out punishments. I wasn't sure if they were going to permanently ban people. I definitely fully expected the negative gold stuff, but to see that they're actually going to be thinking about permanent bans makes me really happy, because to me personally, right, one of the biggest problems of AGS and the reason why there's been so much rampant RMTing, exploiting, and why so many people here, 2,300, and you know, let's say not all 2,300 were expecting it, right? I'm sure even in this 1,200 that they didn't open the chest, like they were probably curious and wanted to try it out, right? You know, of these people, there was actually a lot of people that exploited this. I personally expected 1,000 at the most, which it seems like that they hit that number, but I was like, you know, maybe like reasonably like a couple hundred, right? So apparently it was more than a couple hundred, it was 1,000. But the reason why the people in this game feel so free to like RMT, exploit, right, is because Amazon has never taken a really harsh stance on these people. Only a select number of people have ever been giving like a really tough punishment, and outside of those select few people have been kind of rampantly exploiting and RMTing gold from third-party sellers without much consequences. So to see them do this and give more harsh punishments on even 3 to 7 chests, that is not that much in my opinion, right? I personally thought like, you know, 5 was going to be the minimum of this punishment, but 3, like, I'm like, okay, you know, and it's 2 weeks, not even 1 week, 2 weeks. They're, I guess, you know, putting their foot down and giving a little more harsh punishments than before, which I am happy about. Hopefully this will be more of a thing going forward and punishing players more harshly. That way we can get more of a fair game and people being less incentivized to do things like RMT and, you know, perform illegal things in the game. But yeah, good job on Amazon for this one. So issue resolution. To stop the exploitation of the main reward issue and other bugs, access to Stronghold is disabled. For players who have characters stuck in a Stronghold need access to that character immediately, please submit a customer support ticket. So if you have a character stuck in the Stronghold, submit a ticket. Otherwise, the issue will be resolved during maintenance on the 23rd, which is going to be tomorrow / like the day after. We'll also re-enable the use of Ignite reward chest in the meantime on the Ignite servers, which is good because it really sucked for the players who are playing on the Ignite servers and they couldn't upgrade the characters because of this. So I'm glad they did this. And they kind of close up here with saying like, this issue got high visibility and hope our policy is clear and things like that. Don't engage with like these exploits and stuff, and they are basically converting like, hey, there are still key modes coming to Arcadia this week, so Egg Gear is still coming on Tuesday, and the Ignite server transfer is still coming. So they're like, hey, look, this is not affecting anything else, we're still good there, and we're proceeding with business as usual. But this, in my opinion, is a good stance for Amazon and a good action that they're taking. We'll see how much they actually punish these 15 plus players. I really hope it is a pretty severe punishment, and like they're not going to be just like, oh, 15 to 20, like, we're going to do 30-day up to 30 plus, maybe we'll do like, more severe, and then like if you did like 100, we'll do a permanent, right? I really hope like, it's not like up to 100 then we'll start permanently banning. I hope it's a bit earlier. Like, people who are exploiting these things willingly and openly should be punished. But my thoughts on this issue is generally like same as like what I said on stream if you were there. Like, personally, I think anybody who did this was dumb. Like, anybody who actually tried to exploit this was stupid. Like, there's no way that they weren't gonna give you punishment. Like, this is like a huge exploit. People were getting like 100 qualities on everything, honing up to 1700 item level. Like, people were exploiting a lot, and there was a lot of damage caused by this exploit. So all I'm gonna say is, like, if there's ever an exploit like this in the future, just don't do it. Like, any big exploits like this, just don't do it. They're clearly not intended for the game, and they're gonna harm the game going forward. And yeah, I want our game to be alive. I know that it's very easy and like tempting to take the easy way out and get like fast and easy honing materials, but I always say this: there's no such thing as a free meal in this world. So if something seems too good to be true, it's probably not a good thing. There's probably a catch to it or something, So those are my thoughts on it. And to anybody who is getting banned, rip bozo, especially for those who intentionally exploited. But yeah, that's about it. Personally, I wasn't going to cover this issue, but since they came out and did, a whole address, I figured I would. So here it is, guys. If you want to see more like this, as always, hit the sub button. I really appreciate it. It really helps the channel a lot. I do this as a full-time job. So please, if you can show your support, that'd be great. And I stream every single day on twitch.tv/BSoakShiru. So come hang out. But if I don't see you there, hopefully I'll see y'all on the next video. All right, guys. Peace.